Let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to introduce myself to you all. I'm Kristin White, and I am currently a MAPS coach. But prior to being a MAPS coach, I was a team leader for 19 plus years in the same market center. And now I've taken the things that I learned during that time and I'm using it to help other team leaders just like you. Have a better career, have more success in what you do every day. And of course, a big part of that is cappers. So I do find that a lot of times we can get too focused on maybe the newer people, and then that focus really shifts, right, to new people. And so my goal today is that I can help you shift back into bringing on people that are bringing income into the market center. So we're calling them cappers here, market share, just producing agents really. But for this, we're calling them cappers, and we're going to be focused on cappers. Okay. Before we get started on talking about this plan, which is really what this is, I think it's always important for us to start off with the reasons why and what we're really doing here, sort of a bit of a mindset thing. Miles, can I see everybody instead of the slideshow for right now? Okay, thank you. So it's really about why we're doing this. Like, why do we need a class on this when really what we know is, well, we just need to contact more cappers, right? We just need to close more cappers. So what is this about? Well, this is really about getting into the minds of your cappers or your producing agents and how it's different. I think we all know that it is different. So what I've learned over the years, and I'm sure you guys are learning this too or already know this, is that your producing agents are the ones who really want to be recognized. Have you all learned that? They're the ones who want to be recognized the most. And they're the ones that say that they don't need that recognition, when in fact they do. And so this plan really is about recognizing them, making them feel valued, making them feel wanted. So there's a lot of noise out there, right? There's noise on, oh, there's a flat fee company over here, or there's this better split over there, or a lot of noise about money. And we've all heard in the absence of value, money becomes an issue. Well, I would also say in the absence of making someone feel special, or making someone feel wanted, or making someone feel important, also money becomes an issue. But if you can make someone feel those things, money isn't always the issue. I mean, think about the relationships that you have in your own lives, right? Most of the time, it's about that relationship that we make decisions. So this class is about you building relationships with cappers, and it's a long-term game, but it could also be short. So in the beginning, before we started, we talked about how sometimes we start something that may be, considered a long-term nurturing strategy when you might actually have results quicker. Okay. So the only question to ask yourself before we get started in this is, are you committed? Are you really and truly going to be committed to a long-term process that will result in cappers joining your company? Now, my goal was always a minimum of 2 a month. And this was the play that I had going on all the time. So it wasn't just a temporary thing or it ended, and it was ongoing. The only thing that changed were the people. Okay, so it is about your commitment. What do they say? That the people who are the best at anything are the ones that don't quit. And I think that what we're talking about really is a lot like that, because how many times you start something and then you don't finish it, or we start and we stop, or we throw the baby out with bathwater because there's another thing, right? That ever happened to you guys? Yeah, because there's another thing. There's another shiny object. Oh, let's not do that. Let's do this. And this is not one of those things. This is one of those things that you really want to stay committed to. So this is about touches. This is about making sure that you're in their world. So another question that I'll put out to you is, have you ever known someone that maybe in the beginning of a relationship they were very attentive? It could be anything. It could be a friend. It could be when you went to go buy a car. It could be anything that happened in your life where you got to know somebody, and in the beginning it was great, and then it just kind of fizzled. You're like, oh yeah, I wonder whatever happened to them. I think we've all had that. We say, oh, they went dark on me, right? They ghosted me. So we do not want to be that person that goes somebody or that goes dark, because that affects the other person in a way that looks like you dropped the ball. If any of you have been a team leader in a market center where there had been someone else there before, and you make calls and you find out from somebody else, oh yeah, I had talked to somebody, but then I don't know what happened. I didn't hear from anybody. Anybody had that experience? Yeah. So we don't want to be that team leader. We want to be the team leader that's like, oh yeah, I love your company. I love your office. I've come to classes, I've come to events. Your team leader is amazing, if they're asked that by an agent or somebody. That's what we want. The other thing we're going for here is persistence. Persistence is the key. And if you let time go by, then you don't have that impact anymore. So you're going to notice in this plan that the strategy really is a lot of contact in a short periods of time. And that might make some people feel uncomfortable. Do you ever hear your agent say, well, I don't want to bug them, right? Bug them, because we're making them feel important and special. So I want you to keep all that in mind as we go through this strategy, this plan. And this is what I used. You can also tweak it and make it your own. So let's go ahead and put the slides back up, Miles. I have a couple of tools that I'll put in the chat as we go along, so you can implement these things as well. Okay. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to figure out what our goal is going to be, right? So how many people are you going to put on this plan? This is going to be a plan. Next slide. This is a plan that you're really figuring out your own bandwidth. Like how many people can I put into this program, and what's my target? How many people do I want to get out of it? So depending on the size of your market center, depending on the amount of help that you have, depending on how big your pond is, you may have quite a few to very few. So I would say somewhere around 25 to 30 is a good place to start. This is 3 weeks of activities, and we're going to repeat them. You can tweak them a little bit as you repeat them, but basically you're repeating them. So we're going to go over the structure of the plan and some things that you probably already work with your coaches on, which is your appointments and your 4 quadrants, and then your close. Next slide, please. Okay, we talked about this. Persistence. This is the key. And until you start having people that you're talking to go, gosh, you're persistent. And when I used to get that, I'd say, thank you. I can teach you how to be that way too. So persistence is great, right? And that's what we want, persistent. So you've got to keep on this. This is where our smart plans come in, spreadsheets come in, and I'm going to get all that to you, as well as just calendaring your activities so that you stay on this plan. Next slide, please. Okay. So we talked a little bit about this already, but how many cappers will depend on the size of your pond if you have help. So you might want to think as we go along, talking about this plan, who could help you with this so that you're not having to think about doing this all on your own. It could feel a little bit like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I have the time. And in fact, we all put lead generation on our calendar every day, right? So this is just part of your lead generation. And I think you'll find that even if you start with 50, like it says here in the example, you're going to have enough time to do it because it's just little things that you do each day. Next slide. Okay, so let's get started in how do we start all of this? This is super purposeful. By the way, this started when I started calling this my stalker plan, and I just created people that I really wanted. I reached out to my ALC and other people, and I just decided, you know what? I'm going to be like a stalker. I'm going to be everywhere they look. Everywhere they look, they're going to see me. And you know, isn't that what we teach our agents, right? To be everywhere. Excuse me. And then I was asked to share this on a worldwide call. So I had to change the name from stalker plan to targeted follow-up plan. So that's what it is now. But it remains the same as far as the steps. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our ALC. We're going to let them know that we are starting a very targeted and specific program to welcome people into our market center that are the ideal fit for us and us for them. And so then you're going to ask them. Now, this is again an ALC meeting. Everyone's sitting down. Pass out a piece of paper to everyone in your ALC and ask them to think of an agent that maybe they've had a transaction with, or it was at their former company, or they have some sort of relationship that they feel could be a match. Now, the key to this is that you stop talking. You ask them to number 1 through 5 on their paper and write down 5 people that they feel would really be a match. And if they can only write 1, that's fine, but try and give them time. Because when we just say, hey, who do you know? It's like, you know, they can't think of it right off the top of their head. You want to give them, I would say 5 or 10 minutes to really think as you're walking around and saying, you know, who do you think wants to grow their business? Who do you think needs better culture? Who do you think would really be a good fit for what we have here at KW? Who do you know that's maybe just floundering at their company and you think, gosh, if they were just here, they would do so much better. So that's where this starts. Everyone passes them up. Now, what I did with this is I wrote them on a big board. So you'll get repeats. I took the pages and I wrote them on a big board, like a flip chart or a whiteboard. And then I said, who knows this person? Who knows this person? Who knows this person? We went through it. And you'd find that like multiple people knew the same, had relationships with the people. And I would just write their names down. So in doing this, I'm creating just kind of intention and purpose for them to see. And also, what do you think they might be thinking in the back of their mind? Well, if they come, I want to make sure that I'm their sponsor. And then I would just say, thank you for this. I really appreciate it. I will get back to you as I go through this program. So now you have your ALC recommendations. Next part is your own. So my recommendation here is that you go through broker metrics or whatever it is that you have. And you look for obviously cappers and above. So we're going to start off at whatever that level is for you to identify your cappers. And then really be thinking about what that company offers, where their gaps might be that you can fill. So where you can fill those gaps and what that agent might appreciate. So when we think about cappers, what's one thing that most cappers are interested in? Anybody know? You can put it in the chat if you'd like. What's one thing? Let's do a little brainstorming that every capper is interested in. Or let's just say capper, market share, mega, whatever. What are they interested in? Passive income. Okay, good. Leverage. Yep. Let's see, anything else here? Okay, splits, exit plan. Love it. How can you help? Time or money? Time or money. Yep. Okay, good. These are all really good. But you know, most of these are value. I would put these into the value category, right? Leaving a legacy, growth opportunities, being recognized as important. Yeah, I mean, they want to know about the splits, but from what you guys are telling me here, and I would agree, It's more than that. I remember one time, a quick little story for you. One time I had an agent who I was trying to bring over, and he was a top producer at a very local company competitor. And he came in, we did the whole spiel, and he was really down in his business. It was not this last recession, but the one before that. And he was, he was looking at possibly even losing his home. It was kind of sad. And he had been a really big agent, but if you were around during that whole short sale crash, we were doing short sales and foreclosures. He went to his manager to tell his manager that he was leaving and he was coming to KW after we had talked. And he said, well, they're going to help me, and they're going to give me 100%. I could get up to 100% commission. And now this is him telling me the story. And his manager said, well, yeah, but 100% of nothing is still nothing. Do you believe that? So basically, there was no value at that company to help him get to 100% if they had it. And so that became the main differentiator was, yes, but they're going to help me. So just to underline value. So who out there wants leverage, wants to grow, needs their time? That's all in that same category, right? So as you're looking at broker metrics, you're going to notice some things. One of the things that I would notice is, do they have a whole lot of listings but not a lot of buyers? What's going on with their buyer business? Maybe they need help with that. Maybe you can help them either get a showing agent. Maybe it's time to look at a buyer's agent. What's going on with that potential lost income? So looking at the stories that you can kind of derive and make your list from there on who you think you can have the most impact on, those people are going to go on your list. We're targeting who's a fit for us. How much time do we talk to people who aren't? Like, if you think about it like that, isn't that kind of silly? We talk to people who, all I want is this split. All I want is a flat fee. And then we're trying to change their mind. We can try a little bit, but how about if we focus on those that want what we have? Okay, next slide. Okay, so now we're going to get started in this. Now we have our list. Again, it's whatever you think you can handle. And first thing we're going to do is smart plan. Then we're going to week 1. You can put this all in the smart plan. I have the media. I'll put it in the chat for you in a little bit. I have this whole plan. First thing we're going to do is go in and make sure we are friends with them on social media. Are you friends with them on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn? And if not, obviously request friendship. If you are, or if you get that friendship within week 1, then we really want to start being present there. So start liking their things, start commenting, dig even deeper. Now here's where it's like, this is kind of strange. Have you ever noticed somebody that you get a notification that they liked a post, and maybe it was an older post that you did, and you're like, why are they digging into my stuff, right? Have you ever had that? Yeah, you're like, that's kind of strange. They feel like a stalker. Okay, well, that's what we're doing. We want to get to know them, and we want to get their attention. And if you just like on something, well, you may not. So my recommendation is you comment, you like, you comment, you like, and that's going to get their attention. Now, what happens when someone is your friend or you've commented? They're going to go look at you, right? They're going to go look at your page, at your socials. So make sure that you have things on there that exemplify who you are and how you want to be viewed by other agents in your area, in your community. So make sure you have lots of recognition about your current agents, welcoming agents that have just joined you, classes, pictures from classes. Load that puppy up with just a snapshot of who you are and what your market center is all about, because they're going to come check you out. That's week 1. Week 2, send a book. So you see the TCPA compliant in everything we do. Make sure you're up on all of those rules before you do these things. But when you send a book, my favorite thing was always, of course, the MREA, but I would I would bookmark the chapter that I wanted them to read. And it was different. So I would do it based on what I saw in their business. But I think the most common one I usually did was the lead generation model, because that's an easy one to have a conversation with them about, and then roll that conversation into an appointment. Did you have a chance? So you're calling them. Did you have a chance to read that section on lead generation? Did you identify your gap? I'd love to talk to you about that and see how we can fill in that gap and get you more listings. So you're going to send a book with a tag and a note. You can send a text or a video that says, "Hey, I sent you the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. I bookmarked the section on. I'd love to talk to you about it. I'll give you a call next week." You could also, some people do a quick little video and send that. I did that sometimes. Like I just hold up my iPhone and do a video text and send that. And then of course, let a couple of days go by, but we're still in week 2 and we're going to call for appointment. And now they're thinking, oh, this is the same person. I mean, if you don't know them at all, same person who liked all my stuff. Now they're sending me a book. What's going on? Like they're really going, who is this person and why is she there? Good, that's what we want. Week 3, now we're going to invite them to an event, whether that's via email or a text, or you call them. You want to invite them to an event. That's maybe on a Monday, then on a Wednesday, you're going to congratulate them on something they did. This is where I had help. So I had somebody that would scan their activity on MLS. So whenever they got something went pending, I knew about it. And I would send out a, "Hey, congratulations on 123 Maple Street. That's awesome." Boop, boop, exclamation point. Visit them at an open house or go on tour. So I know some of you, different parts of the country, you may or may not do brokers tours. If you do, definitely. Everybody who's on your list, you got to go see them. You've got to go visit them when they have a tour, or even on the weekends at the open house. Get in front of them. Now they're thinking, oh gosh, I know you already. You'll probably get a hug. Because it just takes here we are, we're only in week 3 on this, but you have been in their world more than a lot of other people have been in their world. I'm going to pause, and if anybody has a question on any of these steps, you want to put it in the chat, or you can just take yourself off mute. Question?
So would you I have a question. Do you put everyone in at the same time, or if you're building up to 25 to 30 people, are you doing like, 10, 15 of them in a week?
Jesse, thank you for that. I should have touched on that. Thank you for that, Jesse. Great question. When you build it, you're putting them in command and you're tagging them. So I would, honestly, my tag said Stalker 2022, Stalker 2020, whatever year it was Stalker plan, and then the year. And then they were in there. And then I also have spreadsheet. So on this spreadsheet, which I'm going to put in the chat in a minute, in the spreadsheet, it has many, many lines. So as you're going through, you might start off with 50, and you might have people that say, "I'm never going to move. I'm moving to, Timbuktu, and I'm not going to do real estate." And take them off, right? So if you start at 50, you might end up at 40, maybe even 30, because some people are going to tell you, "You know what? I appreciate it, but don't bother with me. This is my thing." And if it's valid and you know that you just don't stand a chance, then you don't want to waste your time either. So yes, you can always be putting people on, and that is where you're definitely going to want to have some of the tools like a spreadsheet and using command, and if you're really good with your smart plans, it will remind you. And when you put new people in there, you just give them that tag. So then when you pull those people up and you want to, the newer people, then you can start them on the same smart plan. They're just getting things. They're in week 1, week 2, week 3. So let me just add this for you really quick here. Okay. So there's a spreadsheet for you. And then I'm also going to give you just like a one pager. Okay. So you have it. All right. Any other questions before we move on?
So Kristin, um, so you're gonna give us access to a smart plan that's like this, that has the setup like this, like week 1, week 2, week 3, like that?
I don't have a smart plan exactly like that. I do have something. If you want a smart plan, that I need to tweak it. Make sure that I have your contact info and I can send it to you. I just need to tweak that a little bit.
Okay, perfect. And then I'm looking at this week thing. I jumped to like week 3. Because I think I'm missing week 1 and week 2. I go straight to week 3 and like invite them to events. So I think this week 1, week 2 will definitely help with my conversion. So thanks for that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think so. And that's a really good thing to bring up, actually, is that sometimes we just jump right into inviting people to things. Have you ever been invited to something and you don't have, you don't know who they are?
Mhm.
That's kind of weird, right? But we do that all the time, don't we? And I feel like why do we do that? We haven't really earned the right to do that yet. So so let's start off in the beginning and try and get to know them a little bit more before we invite them to things, but you can always go back. So good job. All right. Anybody else? And then we'll keep going. Okay. Next slide. All right. So we just went through the basic strategies. We just went through, we're going to call basically every day you saw each week, there's about 3 things you're going to do, right? So you're going to want to put that on your calendar. It's going to be, lead generation, maybe 30 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on how big it is, lead generation, targeted follow-up plan. So you'll know to open up that spreadsheet or that smart plan. I always used a spreadsheet on it because I could see everybody at a glance, where they were and what they had. So the spreadsheet I sent you, there's you just put the date in there. So you can see where they are and where there's gaps. And you go, oh, I haven't sent so-and-so invitation, or, oh, I haven't called so-and-so. So I personally do prefer using the spreadsheet. That is what I did and what helped me to stay focused on this plan. Okay, so we're going to continue with the socials, the congratulations, the invites, continue inviting them to things, continue to congratulate them. Have you ever had a competitor congratulate your agents before you did? Yeah, that's not a good thing, is it? That's really bad. And I remember I had a competitor right across the parking lot that I was like, how are they getting that information even before I got it? It was driving me crazy. So that's when I started it was actually my front desk that would go through MLS. And she had my list of people, and every week go through MLS and just see who had done what. So that really helped me so that I could congratulate them. Okay. Now we come into your ALC. Remember, we got that list from your ALC, and you said to them, I'm going to reach back out to you for help at some point. And so now we have our list pretty well dialed in, right? We've had some communication with people. We may have even had appointments with some of them. But we're dialed in, and we've been working on this group of people. So now's the time to ask your ALC. Basically, remember when we talked about how you knew Mary Sue? Well, I have been building a relationship, and I would love your help now, if you're okay with that. What would you like to do? We could do a lunch. You could invite her to, hey, there's this class coming up. You could invite her to that class, or the 2 of us can go on tour. So that's something that I would love to do, is grab the person who knows them, say, hey, let's go visit them where they are. Because now there's me, who I'm a new friend, and then there's somebody that's their old friend, that's an agent, more of a peer. So that's how you get your ALC involved at that point. And I'm going to say that the majority of them are going to be, sure, I'll invite her business planning clinics next week. I'll invite them. Great. You know, tell them, okay, I know that we did 123 Maple Street. You were awesome agent. I've got an extra seat to business planning clinic. I would love to save it for you. Can you make it? I think you'll get a lot out of it. And because of everything that I've already done with them, they're feeling more comfortable. So that is a really, really helpful thing. Do not skip this part. I think some agents, team leaders do. Maybe they're just not wanting to bother their ALC, or they're just thinking, oh, they won't do it. Just ask. Just ask. Okay. All right. How many of you have done the money text? I'm seeing a lot of heads shaking. So the money text. It's a really, really good one. And I don't think it's something that you're going to want to do too early on, because it's really one that you will do more so when you have more of a relationship. At least that's my opinion. Some people are very forward in how they go about things. Some people are more quiet or passive. I think I'm more sort of in the middle. I just like to have a basic relationship first. So the money text, you can look and see their volume. You can do some quick math, right, on what their GCI probably is. We can never assume what they're charging, but possibly is. So you'll be in that ballpark. And then what would it be if they were at your company? So we're looking at, hopefully you have some good guerrilla warfare. You know what the other companies, the company that he's with, charges approximately, and what the difference is, what that gap is. So you take that gap, and assuming that we only do this if we're winning in that gap, right? And so let's just say it's $40,000, $50,000. I remember I did one with a guy, it was $88,000. Wow, like I needed him to know this, right? I would be remiss if I didn't let him know. I used to say that all the time. By the way, I'd be remiss if I didn't let you know. And I sent him the text, hey, I said, what does $88,000 mean to you? And he was like, what are you talking about? He got right back to me. I was like, well, that's the money that you left on the table. Would you like to talk? And he said that I had my math wrong. It was kind of mean. He said, I think you have your math wrong. It's like, nope, I don't have my math wrong. Come meet with me. So he did. So the gap text can be a really, really good one. Send that gap text. I knew team leaders that would do it they would send an actual check, like of the difference. I would just do, and maybe take a snapshot of it. This is what you would have taken home had you been with our company. So that's another technique that I've seen done. I just really did the gap text, the money gap text. Okay, that's a really fun one. And then finally, it's about sending notes, like get their home address, get their home. The reason I love this one is because who sees the mail? The spouse, right? The partner sees the mail. And that's going to cause a conversation. And if you've put something in there like, hey, congratulations on having a great December. Your business, this is on Broker Metrics, your business was up year over year by 232% or whatever it was. That's awesome. Can't wait to see what your goals are for 2025. Send it. They're like, wow, did you get anything like this from your own manager, your own broker? No. So those kinds of things are really important, I think. The handwritten notes, the visiting them, whatever kind of personal touch you can have. We do, and some people more than others, sit behind a screen, type an email, put them on a smart plan and let that run. I don't know about you, but I can always tell when I'm on something like that, when I'm on something automated, right? You can all tell when you're on something automated. So, and then that's the fastest way to get unsubscribed too. So I would say that with this particular plan, try and make it as personalized to them. Think about it. Everything that we're doing in this plan is about what they have done their own business, that we're congratulating them on their own business. We're looking at their socials. And so we're commenting on what they are doing. We're talking about their gap. We're inviting them to classes and things that we think would match their needs. And every time you're doing this, you're asking for an appointment. The difference between this and what we do other times is it's not as broad of a brush. We are being much more tailor-made to them. So you're going to get to know this group of people pretty well. And obviously, the goal is they get to know you. They start to think about you and what you would do or how you would help them or how it would be if they were at your company every time something comes up. You're inserting yourself into their world this way. Okay, any questions on this? Anybody have any questions on, now we're repeating things, we're starting to repeat, going back. Now, I'm not going to say that you're going to send them a book every single week, but could you send them a chapter and say, hey, I wanted to follow up with you on the book, right? We're relating to the book that we sent. And when you get some positive feedback, that might lead you to an appointment on that particular topic, or it might lead you to something else. So if it's lead generation and you've got a lead generation class coming up, you might invite them to that. So you can connect things. And maybe down the road, depending on how long they're on your targeted follow-up plan, you might send them another book and start the whole process over again. Okay, next slide. This is seeming a little bit like, wow, this is just a whole bunch of stuff to do, right? Oh my gosh, she's just giving me more work. Or is it feeling like a plan that you can work each day that gives you intentional purpose? I hope it's that, because that is what it did for me. I know in coaching team leaders like I do, I know that one of the biggest things is all the stuff, right? There's so many things that we can do. We could do this, we could do that, we could do this, we could do that. We have all these things that we can do. And we get overwhelmed. And we're lucky if we get one or two of those things done. And what I am always telling my people is we're just gonna do this with a few things. The things that are going to get us the best results. Instead of just being so splintered and doing all these other things, let's be really purposeful, intentional on a few. So this goes along with those lines. Okay, so things to know. Now I'm kind of going into the place where we have established a good connection. They know who we are. Hopefully, we've even brought in our ALC and they've helped. Now they've become almost a friend. How many of you, a friend to KW? How many of you can go, oh yeah, they're a friend to KW? And you've got people out there that know you, that like you. That might be somebody that I'd invite to mega camp or family reunion. Yep. That might be somebody that I would definitely have on my list for. You're going to have those people and your goal is always going to be to get them in to meet with them, right? We're going for the appointment. So when we go for the appointment or somewhere along the lines, this is what we need to know about them. We need to know what was their goal and what was important to them about that goal. Had a guy once that he was on my stalker list, and we got to talking. It was all on the phone. And he told me that he wanted to hit the 11 million in volume. And I found out that that was really important to him because he had kids that he had planned on, that if he could put so much money away for each of them every year, that they wouldn't have to worry about college like he had had. And so I had a really hard time getting him to come over though. And yet I kept that goal in mind. And I would check his broker metrics all the time. And I would say, woohoo, that's one more payment for college tuition. And I just kept his goal in our communication. He did eventually join us, and he ended up not only hitting that goal, but building a team ended really, really well. And I know for a fact it was because I was in it with him. I was partnering with him on what he wanted, even though we were at different companies. Okay, so what's the goal and what's important about that goal? Make sure you know that. I can't stress that enough in asking what's important about it, because a lot of people will just say something like, oh, financial freedom, or oh, I want to make so much money. Well, why is that important? What will that do for you? In finding that out and having that conversation, you might find out that the goal really isn't about the money. It's about a feeling, or it's about a journey, or it's about a time frame, something else. And it's not always about the money. So let's just say you have somebody who says, well, I want to retire in 10 years or 5 years. Is that going to be about the money? No, that's going to be an exit strategy that we want to help them with. And if we go, okay, so actually it's about the strategy so that you can retire at that time. What if we put together a plan and I can help you so that by the time, we're at year 8, 9, by 10, you're ready. That person's going to have a conversation with you. Okay, so it's really important to know what is important about the goal. What is the gap and what is your plan to fill it? I'm hoping that you guys are really proficient in the economic model and the financial comparison. So this whole time we've been getting to know these cappers, you probably already have a good idea what the financial gap is, right? In fact, you sent in the text, so you probably already know that. But when we find out what their goal is and what the gap is, my recommendation is at that appointment that you have, or even before you get the appointment, you've already done the economic model for them, and you do it based on the gap. So you do the economic model based on the gap that needs to be filled. And then from there, we are helping to build that plan. If they did that and they hit that, then you can do the financial comparison where, okay, so this was the goal. If you stay at whatever company and you do this, this is how much money they're going to keep. And this is how much money you're going to go home with for your family for that, whatever that goal was, right? But if we do this here, this is how much money you're going to keep. And then you can fund that mission, whatever it was. So that's why I really do say, get really good with your econ model, get really good with your financial comparison, to the point where you can just do it without any guide, without the guidelines or the sheets or any of those things, that you can just whip one out really fast and help them to see, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Why would I want to waste time over here when I've got this goal? And she's laying it out for me, exactly what I need to do. Like, why would I want to waste my time on that? And then, of course, we're going to close them, right? We're going to close them. There's lots of different ways of doing that. At this juncture, when you use the econ model and the financial comparison, and then you say, would this amount of money change your life? Would this amount of money, which is the difference from their company to yours, what would you do with that? And would that help you get to that goal even faster? And then it's basically saying, I would love to partner with you on this. Let's get started and work together. Are you ready? So you can close right there. If need be, we go down to making an offer. But what kind of offer would you make them? This is why we go through and we get to know them, and we go through and we get to know their goals and what's important to them and as much about them as we can, because then we can tailor make that offer. There's a lot of people that I think are just throwing out offers of money. And I don't know if you've ever known anybody, but some people will actually become offended by that. If you've ever known an agent who actually gets offended by that, like, they're just throwing money at me. They don't really want to help me. So I would just say be careful, because when we do that, now we're competing with those companies that throw money at things. And that's not who we are. And we don't want to play ping pong with them. We don't even want to play that game. We compete our own way, and our way of competing is by providing people with value, helping them get to where they want to be financially. When you get people to where they want to be financially, do they care about splits or that this company is, I mean, the gap is so small at that point, and the value is so big that it won't matter. A lot of my team leaders I'm coaching, when I get to, you know, why would they want to leave? Oh, it's because they, you know, they're offering this better split. No, there's got to be something else. If you have a top agent that's saying that they want to go somewhere else, then it's something else. And it's the same thing reversed. So when you're talking to a capper and they say things to you about wanting more money, just, you have to understand it's really not about that. It's about something else. And when we know what that something else is, then we can make the appropriate offer to them. Some of the things that you might want to consider offering, obviously, hopefully you all know about cap management, but you have a good cap management plan that maybe you can offer to them. Some of you guys will offer coaching, and that's a great way for them to get connected with the company to help them with their goals that they have, to work with a MAPS coach. Plus, that gets them free into mega camp, into family reunion, into masterminds, and gets them into that community. So they become very connected. So for some people, you know, weighing the cap management, if you're, how long you're going to give them a cap, if your cap is 20,000 versus a year of coaching is 12. And you save the money on whatever else you might have said you were going to give them, like family reunion or something like that. And you're really helping them. So that, keep that in mind. And then of course, leveraging and helping them to build a team. One of the things that I think is really important is that you help them, you let them know we have career visioning. We use this tool called KPA. I'm going to help you to build this team, because that's what I find a lot of people why they don't want to do it, right? Because, oh, I can't stop. I don't want to take 5 steps backwards. I'm going too fast right now. That's when you say, well, let me help you with that, because you're always recruiting and you're always finding talent. You may even have talent in your own market center. So I'm going to help you with that. And let me do all of the heavy lifting there. And when I think I have somebody might be a good fit, 1 or 2 people, then I'll present them to you. Like, that's a great service, right? Okay. Any questions on any of this? How y'all feeling right now?
Good.
Yeah? How do you
The
think it would
perfect
be?
time of the year to do this, to get
Perfect
the
time.
coaches up and running. So it's good.
Good. Yeah. How do you see yourself organizing this and structuring this that will work for you? I'm seeing a lot of people want the SMART plans. How do you see it? How do you see this working for you to keep you on it? I've suggested calendaring it, using the spreadsheet, tagging them. What else do you think is going to help you to stay on this plan and not stop? That's the demise of something like this.
Getting accountability with my OP and my other leadership team to keep me accountable to doing these things.
Great. Absolutely. Yep. Share it with everybody. You could share with your ALC. Once you get things going, you could show them your spreadsheet. Look, guys, this is who I'm working on. This is what I've done. Right. And again, have your staff be involved. Share all of this with your staff so that they know. Maybe you have somebody, I had somebody who had really good handwriting. They did all the notes, all the cards for me. Do you want me to write a card? Oh, so front desk is telling me that they just got a listing on 123 Maple Street. I would say, great, tell so-and-so she'll write the card. And I would get these calls going, oh, I got your card. And I'd be like, oh, good, because I didn't even know. So you want to leverage this if you can. And I know some team leaders have, you know, skeleton crews out there. But see what you can do, because this only works when it's consistent. Next slide. Okay, so here's some myths that we have. Cappers are hard to get. I love that one because it is really out there, right? Cappers, R2s, whatever you want to call them, producing agents are hard to get. And really and truly, I think that's the biggest one out there that we hear, and that is so false, because cappers always want to talk about their business. They love talking about their business. It's the people that are struggling that don't. I want to talk about it. They don't want to be transparent about it. But your cappers and your megas and your top agents, they want to know what you know. Well, but you're looking at my business. Well, where are you seeing that? What are you seeing? Oh, well, this is what I'm seeing. And wow, you're doing really great at this. Have you considered something, whatever you're thinking is right for them based on what you're seeing about their business? Have you considered growth? What was your goal for this year? Do you have anyone helping you with that? Those are the things they do want to talk about. Are you guys finding that to be the truth? Does everybody know that? Got to know that. Got to have that in your head. They want to talk to you. And the next myth is that cappers are hard to reach. I think that's kind of true. They can be hard to reach. However, if you're following this plan, you become a warm call, not a cold call. And they may answer because now they know who you are. So we don't answer our phones 90% of the time because we don't know who they are. But you've already been in communication with them in many different forms. And they go, oh, there she is again. All right, let me just see what's going on. So when you work this plan, saying, oh, I can't ever reach them, that objection may go away, at least with these people. That's a really good thing, right? Okay, cappers want a better split or a flat fee. We've talked about that, I think, during this call. And I think cappers really want to feel valued and they want to hit their goals. So we got to get past the money. The money thing, or what's your split, or I'm going to get a better split over here. For most people, that is a canned response. Would you like dessert? No, thank you, I'm full. It's just a canned response. Can I help you? No, thank you, I'm just looking. You got to go deeper when they say that. Okay, yeah, great. And you just jump right over that objection. Just jump right over it. Tell me more. Tell me about your business. How are things going for you? What was your biggest challenge this year? Oh, what's your goal for 2025? Jump right over the objection of money, because you're going to find out what they truly need help with in their business when you do. If you stay stuck on that, we're playing ping pong. Okay? Any questions on this, any of the myths? Or do you have another objection or another myth that seems to be stopping you? Is that our last slide?
Rejection. I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry, go ahead.
I would say I think one of the rejections, or I don't know if a myth, is, I think you inadvertently try to compare to where they are now versus where you would like them to be with us, right? And that's sometimes a hard conversation if you don't know a lot about their company.
Okay. I think I get what you're saying. And that is why when you start having a conversation with anybody at another company, we never ever want to put down their company, right? When they say, I'm happy where I am, great. That's awesome. You have so many good people in your company. You have a great manager there. I love your manager. Oh my gosh, you're in a really good spot. Remember that people always want to look good and be right? Isn't that what you say all the time? So the last thing we want to do is put a weapon in our hand when they've already got a weapon in their hand. I'm happy where I am. That's their weapon. We don't want to put a weapon in our hand and go, well, yeah, but you can make more money here. Or have you thought about this? Or you acknowledge that, you make them right. So then whatever they decide after that is for a different reason. For the reason of, well, gosh, we don't have that. I got to know more about KW, I got to know more about the team over there, what they're doing, and it's different. Sometimes People don't know what they don't know. And that is really your job, is to not try to convince them that where they're at isn't as good, but to let them know or inform them that there may be something that would help them even more. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you. That was a really good one. Anybody else have any questions on this entire plan? Let's see. I've got, what's in the chat here, Miles? I have to achieve more success than them already for me to influence. Oh, thank you, Ozzy. That is a myth, isn't it? Sometimes team leaders feel like they are not in a position, validity-wise, to have these kinds of conversations, maybe with a mega agent, especially if that team leader has never sold real estate or wasn't at that level. Anybody ever felt that way? Yeah. So there's some tricks to getting over that. I think a lot of people do have that. First of all, they don't know. You could be the biggest agent under the sun. They don't know. And they're not going to ask you. So act as if, right? They don't know. What you're talking about is different than talking about when the termite company is coming and did you get the house inspection? We're not talking about that. That is the language of realtors when they talk to each other. We're talking about growing a business. And by the way, what do? You run a business. Secondarily, how many transactions is your company closing every month? Are you closing more transactions than the agent that you're calling? Yep, you certainly are. So every one of you that's on this call right now that's a team leader, you are mega agents because you are closing all these transactions. You know the systems, you know how to help them, you know what's going on. You are a big producer. So you've got to get that in your mind. And then the next thing I would say about that is that, have you ever had a new agent say, how can I get a listing if I've never had a listing? Or I'm new. What if they ask me how many transactions I've had? We've all had that new agent, right? Scared to death. Oh, what if they ask me how many transactions I've had? And so what do we tell them? What do we tell them? We just most of the time we say, talk to them about how many transactions your company has had. Talk to them about your office. Talk to them about the support system you have. Talk to them about your former career. And then tell the truth, I am newer to this business, but I have this huge support system. The bottom line is, and what I would tell my new agents is, they're not going to ask you as long as you are always asking them questions about them. You keep that spotlight focused on them, and they'll be talking about themselves. They're not going to need to ask you anything like that. When someone asks you a question like that, it might be because they are doubting. So that's why we just have to be on our game. We have to know what to do. We have to know what to say. It won't even come up. Thank you for that. Okay, well, we're almost done. Can we go on to the, can we get this off the screen? And that's me. If anybody has any questions or you want anything, feel free to reach out. I totally mean that. And I hope you guys got something out of today and that you'll use it. It's a long-term follow-up, but it's going to be the difference maker. When you start hearing people talking about you, oh yeah, she's great. Oh yeah, he's awesome. Oh yeah, I love your team leader. You're going to start hearing that when you are attentive to groups of people out there. So persistent. That's a good thing. Don't let big gaps of time go by here or you lose that same momentum and that same feeling. Okay, guys, so I hope that you'll be getting some cappers from this. I'd love to know the results as you go along. Feel free to communicate with me anyway. And I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. Thanks for being here.